Hey y'all. So this was a conversation I had with a member the other day, and I just kind of wanted to share kind of the general theme of it, because this is a conversation we have over and over and over and over and over again. We usually have to have this multiple times with every single member we have, and it's just that context is everything. There's so much information out on the internet. There are so many different sports. There's so many different types of competitions, and there's so many reasons that people are doing things. And what's happening is out in the online world and in the in-person world is people are making things black and white. They're saying this is wrong and this is right. And the reality is this is probably right in a lot of ways, and this is probably right in a lot of ways. So the example that specifically we talked about is we were bench pressing in the gym, and someone had been working with Elaine, our physical therapist, and she was working with them on staying braced, especially through the upper abs and keeping that rib cage drawn down but extending up with that nice tight position. What that does is when you're bench pressing, it makes your back perfectly flat. Not perfectly, but it makes your back flat on the bench as you bench press. Now, this person had come to us from years of a powerlifting background, and so he was having a hard time making the connection of, well, I learned how to bench press this way, and now my physical therapist is telling me to bench press this way. Why do they do it like this and like this? And the real answer is because the way that powerlifters bench press is for 1 rep max bench press in a powerlifting competition that has very specific standards. Sometimes they're allowed to wear gear, so they have bench press shirts. So there's a lot of different standards that might happen over in this world, and the people who are going to train powerlifting to compete in powerlifting that are wearing gear or raw or taking steroids or not are going to do things in very different ways. That doesn't mean that the way this person is doing it is wrong. This person should be doing the things that fit their way and their way and their way and their way, and we need to be doing things in a way that fit our way. If your way is competing in a powerlifting competition, then, or any type of competition, then we're going to tailor the way you train for your competition to make sure we're keeping that picture in mind. So in a bench press competition in powerlifting, what they do is they get this big arch in their back. First of all, this big arch, they brace, so it's not just like a broken position. They're nice and tight and braced with this big arch position. First thing this does is you can just see this shortens the range of motion now that I'm going to have to go. I'm not going to have to go as low, and we're talking about lifting hundreds of pounds. I think the world record bench press, it depends if it's weighted or not, but with gear is somewhere around 1,000 pounds. Insane. So if you're looking at 1,000 pounds and then having to go 1,000 pounds even deeper, the deeper we go, the weaker we go. It makes a lot of sense that they're going to do things in a way that's going to shorten the range of motion. That's also why they might choose to go a little bit wider on a grip, because they're training for a competition standard and not these other things. Another thing that this does is if you watch my shoulder angle, okay, this is 90 degrees. And as soon as I do this, it's less than 90. We know that we can decline bench press more than we can regular bench press, and we can do that more than we can incline, and we can do that more than we can press over our head. So our leverage gets better as we change that shoulder angle down to decline presses. So again, this is another benefit for the person competing in powerlifting to create this big arch position that shortens range of motion. Maybe they grip it different in a way that shortens range of motion, and it puts them in a position where they're doing more of a decline press than a bench press, or than a 90-degree bench press, I should say. It's still bench press. So context is absolutely everything. So then this powerlifter who is now struggling with some issues in the back and kind of rib cage from stability, because they had spent so many years doing this overextended position and not engaging, now when we start to go to do other things, we haven't learned how to brace the other way. This way of bench pressing developed the skill of a competition 1 rep max bench press. The way Elaine, the physical therapist, is suggesting this person bench press is going to promote skill transfer to functional movement. So that's what we do here on this channel, is promote skill transfer to functional movements. And we take it in the context of everyone's goals. If he had come to her and said, hey, I used to be a power lifter and I would like to compete in powerlifting again, she's going to still work with him on these things, but she's also not going to tweak that bench press technique in that way. So these are just things to keep in mind. Just because a world-class athlete is doing an exercise a specific way, that doesn't mean that your context is the same as their context. So we need you to take that big picture so we can get you doing the things that actually move you and your body towards the life that you want to have, and not chasing and copying competitive CrossFit athletes who are only squatting just to parallel with a wide stance with their feet turned out with Olympic lifters. So there's a reason powerlifters, Olympic weightlifters, CrossFitters all squat differently than moms. Okay? These are 4 different things, and we need to do things for your context. Hope that helps. Talk to y'all soon.